One Piece chapter 1184, Only Bones Get Left Behind, is about Brook's relationship with Princess Shuri's father. He was the beneficiary to her dad, and now we see how. We also get more moments between Shuri and Brook exploring their relationship as she grew up. So let's begin. The chapter begins in the kingdom of Vesperia at a time when Shuri was 14. In the last chapter we started off when she was 7, and how she was saying that she wanted to marry him when she got older, and now 7 years have passed since then. We see Shuri fend off potential suitors who were apparently drawn by her extraordinary beauty. "You're all too weak," she says as she cuts them down. Of course, she has no interest in weak men, firstly, and secondly, she only likes guys that play music, which you happen to know applies both to Brook. Brook is now 27 years old, and he walks alongside Shuri holding her hand just like he always does. Brook talks about how Shuri thrashed all of her suitors, and she proudly claims it like a badge of honor. She asks Brook if he thinks she's gotten stronger and cuter, to which he says she has done both, but she's talking unladylike, which he doesn't appreciate. But Gunko retorts saying that Brook is now starting to sound like her dad. And this whole interaction is funny because Brook says all that and then acts like his usual self in front of other women. He plays his violin with Shuri sitting alongside him, and the lyrics does have significance to Brook because he talks about how at the end of one's life there are only bones left behind. Whether it is frogs or cattle, kings or slaves, bones alone, as everyone knows. Of the dead you'll find, only bones get left behind. That is just how the story goes. And more specifically, that is how Brook's story goes. So this is kind of foreshadowing what happens to Brook later on. Shuri loves the song and so does her father. And Shuri notices just how much Brook loves her father and mother. Brook tells her that the king was his benefactor, and if he had not crossed paths with him, then by now only his bones will be left behind. And so we enter a flashback inside of a flashback. Brook is 11 years old, and he looks inside of a school where kids are playing music with nice instruments, and he can only imagine how nice it must feel to have one of them. Brook does look to be in a rough shape as he has bruises all over his body, and we see why. A guy just randomly comes up to him and starts throwing stones at him for peeping inside the school and apparently making the students nervous. Two ladies standing nearby comment on how filthy he is, going as far as to say that he's a stain to the kingdom of Vesperia, which is actually insane. A little boy dreaming of doing what normal kids do, and the women in this country label him as the stain of the entire kingdom. Like, what did he do to you? I swear the most evil beings created in fiction are side characters in a sad One Piece backstory. Tell me I'm not wrong here. The side characters in Oda's backstories get to violating for no apparent reason. But anyway, we switch over to the junkyard, where Brook has made himself his own violin, and he sings how one day he'll get to play real music. Also, he doesn't know why he's still alive, as he's crunching on frogs just to survive. Brook also hints at his parents and his little brother, who I didn't know he had, but apparently they starved to death. And I wonder if we'll get to see this little brother or Brook's parents. But most likely they were all living in the junkyard as they're all homeless, and eventually they ran out of food at one point. And the parents probably saved up food for their kids and starved to death, along with the little brother. And Brook was probably next up too. But Brook's song caught the attention of one Prince Leuven, who was impressed by Brook's ability to makeshift a musical instrument, while also noting how rotten the lyrics are. Brook says he made it out of a glass bottle and wires, which Leuven thinks has a certain charm to it. Brook says he's seen the prince somewhere around here, but he just can't put a finger to it. The prince doesn't like being called Mr., so he asks Brook to refer to him by his name. Brook calls him an old face, and his iconic laugh amuses the young prince. Brook finally settles on calling him Big Bro instead, and as a token of their friendship, he cooks up grasshoppers and frogs, which he cooks with a hint of curry powder that he had managed to steal off one of the navy ships that occasionally frequent the island. In his mind, Leuven thinks of eating chef-cooked meals and being offered young, successful women. And now, he's just sitting next to a homeless kid eating frogs and grasshoppers. He has to literally force himself to swallow it, and the prince does it just to make the kid feel better. Before leaving to sing, Brook tells Leuven that he doesn't need anything in return. Brook thinks that they are both going through hard times, so it is okay, which is ironic because we know that's not true. We see a few panels of them together, fishing, drinking, and singing, and having a jolly good time. These two have really gotten close in a short amount of time. But with Brook snooping around and stealing off of marine ships, something was bound to go wrong. And on one of these days, he gets captured by Navy men. The officers think that Brook is smuggling drugs for gangsters, when in reality he's just taking some curry powder. After they don't get what they want, the officers get ready to kill him as he's seen their faces. Brook stands firm even in the face of death. "If I start singing, then it won't feel as bad," he says. "Of the dead, you'll only find bones left behind." And that's when Leuven crashes in to save his little bro. He's there with his royal guards, and seeing Brook in a battered state infuriates him. The Navy men say that they caught Brook transporting drugs, but he knows better. Leuven's men try to warn him about the power of the Navy as they're backed by the world government, which he obviously does not want to make an enemy of. But Leuven won't just stand as they beat up his little bro, no matter who's on the other side. He looks to Candle for support, and he gets it. And so the two slice up the Navy men with ease. And Brook is just sitting there so confused and amused at the same time. Leuven is a swordsman, and even more so, a prince. We see Brook wake up inside the Esperia palace, and we get another good look at the corpse commander Candle. And she's like, Leuven, you gotta be more careful of your standing. You are a prince, so anything that you do will reflect on our entire country. And I think this is a subtle hint from Oda that Leuven is reckless with his words, and maybe something he says or does directly leads to the world government and more specifically Emu being interested in Esperia. I would not be surprised if that's why Esperia gets to be targeted later, because of Leuven's public disapproval of the world government. But the chapter ends with him apologizing to Brook for not telling him about his identity. He thought that would ruin the fun and the genuine connection that they had. But that doesn't matter now, because he gives Brook a fresh start in life, a room and fresh clothes, and most importantly, a brand new instrument. Guys, what do you think about this chapter? I know I didn't provide much context to what happened in this chapter, but it's all pretty self-explanatory, and there's not much to explain. It was a cool setup chapter, all things considered. If there was anything y'all wanted to add, then please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.